this video is again a continuation of the previous part 1 and part videos of conflict resolution skill. So in this part 3 of conflict resolution skill, we are going to see how to resolve a conflict successfully and what are the steps which are involved and what are the skills which are involved in each steps. So I gave you an example, and if you missed it, please do watch it. I've given the description, I've given the link in the description of the part 1 and part 2, because in part 2 I was discussing about the 5 conflict resolution style, and I've already told you ours or the negotiation is the best style. So I've also given an example of the conflict between two friends, and it can be any kind of conflict. You can relate to these steps, and any kind of conflicts between a professional relationship or a personal relationship or a marital relationship, definitely you can use these skills and the steps which I'm going to tell in a very simple way, and then you can put in the comment box and what really happened to the conflict, because between you two, whether did you successfully resolve it. But again, I'm warning you or cautioning you that there are certain skill sets which are required for it, and please do practice those things before even attempting to resolve a conflict, and try doing it, because you should be really open-minded. The first requisite, the prerequisite which I told in the part 1 of the video is, first you should have the mindset that resolving a conflict is very important, and it should be seen in a win-win way, and it should be defined as a problem to solve, and it should not be like in a person-oriented way. So keeping all these prerequisites in mind, and also one more important thing which can't avoid here, even though it's a repetition, don't ever try to resolve a conflict when you're stressed or emotional. That's a very bad idea and can turn very ugly. So keeping all this in mind, let's go on to the steps of the conflict resolution, keeping the same example which I discussed in the previous video. I will just refresh your memory on the same thing so that you can understand what I'm talking about, and also will give you more interesting examples to relate to the steps here. So, and as I already gave you a clue on, behind every conflict there will be a underlying need. So what are those underlying needs? After all, what are the needs of the human beings? When you take a closer look, we could see the very basic needs in the Maslow's hierarchy. Also, always we describe the need for love and intimacy, especially in a marital relationship, and need to feel safe and secure. Again, we can see this kind of need in every relationship, and also the need to feel respected and valued. So when you identify these needs which are unmet by your partner, or try to understand your partner's need and try to meet it, then your conflict is resolved. But most of the times we don't know what we want, and we fail to understand what others want also. So here we need to keep these underlying needs in mind while we're trying to resolve a conflict. And very important skills which I can't skip, we need to know again. And about all these skills, I've given a separate video. I've provided the links in this part. Please do watch those videos to enhance your skills, because always I say very, I don't know this is a saying or what, skill is definitely inversely related to stress. If you're more skilled, you're less stressed. So if you're finding all the time interpersonal issues, that means you're having very poor conflict resolution skills. The more equipped you are, I'm sure you'll be very less stressed in interpersonal relationship. So invest your time and energy to develop your conflict resolution skill, so that your stress in life will definitely come down, and you can save your relationship and have a beautiful, enriched interpersonal relationships in your life. So here, let's quickly get on to the steps. So number 1 step in conflict resolution skill is that you need to first voice out what you want and how you feel. So for example, and you should also attempt at the same time to understand what another person wants. And there are some skills which are involved in this step. I will be discussing about it also, but let me connect with an example so you can understand very easily. So whenever you're going to talk about your needs, it should be in an I statement. Okay, it should not be like, you did this to me and you didn't take care of me, you came late, you didn't give me time. Don't ever use you. Always use I. Because I is something which is like a personal ownership statement, and also use a relationship statement. Like we can say one beautiful statement like, I would like to talk about yesterday's disagreement, so which we had between two of us. So this kind of beginning statement, which will give more empowerment to the partner also, that you are willing to resolve the conflict by looking into the other's perspective as well. So it's very important that the first step we understand, we need to express what you really want. So quoting the same story which I detailed in the part 2 of this video, where there was a conflict between two friends. So the number 1 step what the friend should do is, probably for getting the task and for going and taking care of the wife, what you should do is use the fox technique and get the job done. But later, in order to save the relationship, he should give the benefit of doubt, and he should strike a conversation when the friend and he himself is in a good mood. And probably he has to tell him, like, I really want to talk to you. When can we talk? So when both are in good mood, they have to start a conversation by, one person, that is person X, talking about what he really wanted. And then he should say, no, I really want you to take care of my job for a one day, and that is what I really wanted the other day. And the next is like, what I felt because of it. And sometimes you feel, can't he understand like what my friend wanted? But please, you should realize that people don't understand that very easily unless and until you voice it out in a clear way, because people have different perspectives. They may be in their own worlds and they may think that what they think is right. So to just break all these assumptions, it's better to voice out what you really want. And just to voice out what I want, what the person wants itself, is actually very difficult for certain people, because some people feel very vulnerable to express their own needs, and they feel that I don't want to express my need and this person is not going to not going to meet up with my needs, and why should I do it? But these kind of barriers are not going to resolve the conflict. So as I told in the prerequisite, first be open-minded, first be open, and first be committed that I'm going to resolve, I'm going to talk openly about what I need. So in that way only, that is the best starting point for resolving the conflict. That's the first step as well. So talk about your needs, what you really want. And also in the same step, you also should try to understand the needs of another person. And one important tip is that you should not attack another person by saying, no, you did this and you are always like this. So in order to avoid that, better use a statement where you're going to describe the actions or behaviors without coming to a conclusion or evaluating that you have done this, you are so angry. You can't just jump into conclusion that the partner was angry. You just have to tell, you did so and so things. So by describing the behavior, the other person won't get defensive, and they will be clear that you're not actually just judging them or evaluating them. The first step is that you just express what you need. So here in this example, the person X says that, okay, I really want this. I really want to get off from my work and go visit my wife. So this is the first step. The next step is express your feelings. So it's very important, and people will be wondering that, should I even express my feelings? But then a lot of the people do mistake in this step only. They don't express the way how they feel about the situation. Usually in Indian culture, we are all told to keep shut. Don't express how you feel, and just don't cry and don't express your emotion. But this is all a very, very wrong teachings what we have been having from the childhood. It is very important. If you don't express the way you feel, there is always going to be a blind spot and people won't understand you. So it's very, very important. If you really want to save your relationship, you just have to explain them how you feel about the situation with the intensity of the emotions, how you felt. So in this example, to quote, person X has to say, I feel very frustrated, I feel very upset, I feel very sad that I'm not able to visit my wife and be with her, because keeping in mind this person Y is a bachelor, he may not understand the importance of the interpersonal relationship. So it is very important that we express our emotions so that for the other person it's easy to understand. So this is step 2. In this step 2, again, one more thing you need to do is try to understand the feeling of the other person also. Okay, what you have to just do a perception check here. You sound angry. Are you really angry? Are you really upset? You just can't come to a conclusion that you're angry or you're getting anxious. Don't stamp it. You just have to negotiate the meaning and do a perception check to just check, are you feeling that way? In this step, one more important thing you need to do is paraphrase. Paraphrase is a very beautiful skill which I've discussed in communication skills video. It's very important to resolve a conflict which will take you to an amicable conclusion, because paraphrasing is all about summarizing, not especially summarizing. It's not like parroting what the other person says, but tell the essence of what the other person says. Oh, you feel this way, you think this way. Oh, you have to just check the perception by saying, what they're trying to say. You're trying to understand by paraphrasing it. You sounded so upset. Were you really upset when this happened? So when two people are talking in this way, the other person feels very much understood and he can trust the partner very well. So paraphrasing is a very important skill, and you can see the benefits of it only when you use it. So one example I would like to give apart from this is that, let's say you're going to a doctor and you're talking about your symptoms with a lot of emotions to the doctor, saying, "Sir, doctor, 2 days I'm running temperature and I'm having nausea and I'm having this problem, headache and all that." And Dr. A just scribble something and give. And same thing you were telling to a Dr. B, and he paraphrases here and he says that, okay, so and so, you are having a nausea sensation, you are running temperature high, and you have this problem, and now he writes a prescription. So Dr. B is someone you would trust more. So the same way, the same benefits that you yield in your interpersonal relationship when you paraphrase. So when other person is expressing the feeling and the needs, when you paraphrase, oh, you feel this need is very important to you, you think this way, you feel this way, then the other person feels very valued and respected. So they will calm down, they will not be emotional, they will have respect for you. So this is very important, and this is a step 2. So let's go to the step 3. Step 3 is very important, where you're going to explain the reason for your positions. Why I want this. Okay, like going back to a very simple example of the orange. The child A has to say, no, mom, I want the peel of the orange. The child B is going to say, I want the pulp of the orange. This is very simple example, but our needs are very complex, and we just hold on to the positions and not understand the real needs behind it. So behind every position, there is an underlying need. As I keep telling you, this understanding is going to unfold, layers of conflict and make it very simple for you. So that's why I keep repeating this point here. So again, to quote another example about how to understand the underlying needs, there was a conflict between a couple. Okay, the person A, let's say like a husband and wife itself, man and a wife itself here. So in a counseling situation, I had this problem. So the wife really wanted to go for a job. Okay, she was very much wanting to go for a job, and the person, husband does not want her to go for a job. He wants her to remain a housewife, take care of the children. So these were the positions. She says, I want to go to job, and he says, don't go for a job. These were the positions they were holding on to. But actually probing more deeper into the underlying needs, it made it very clear. So when I was probing about the underlying needs, the husband, we could understand what he really wanted. He wanted to be like any man in the society, a typical man. He wants to be the breadwinner of the family. He don't want his wife to provide. He wants to be the provider, and he wants his wife to take care of his children, protect them. And he also wants his wife to remain home because he's afraid about her protection. So all these things actually kept him away because he's from a very conservative family. So these are the values and needs he had behind this conflict, which made him to hang on to this position that I don't want to send you to the job. It was frustrating his wife for a long time. So when I probed more deeper into the wife's underlying needs, I came to know that wife really wants to earn, and she wants to actually make use of her education, and she also wants to go out, and she is very bored at home and she wants to have a change. So these are her underlying needs. So these needs were understood, and that was actually made to express between these two couples. And what really happened later is, now they understood their underlying needs, and the wife came up with the wife and husband, both of them decided, and then they further on went to the other steps. So there they finally decided that wife will be allowed to go for a job where she can also balance her life and also balance taking care of the child. And also she will allow her husband's need and respect his need also, and allow him to be the breadwinner of the family, and not take pride or ego in the way she's going to do the job. And she can take care of some part-time job, and she can do a hybrid kind of work. So this kind of final resolution made them both happy. So this I explained to make you understand the step 3 here. It's very important that you express the reason behind your positions. Why I want this. Simple example, I told about orange, and also I gave another example, practical example as well. So it's the third step. Please understand, explain the reason, and listen when the other person is giving the reasons for their position. And at this point you feel that they are more reasonable, you can give up, you can do the smoothing teddy bear technique and resolve the conflict here itself in step 3. But if you feel that your needs are also very important, in that case we go on to the next step.